Must-know glossary terms for CompTIA Cybersecurity Analyst CS0003 certification exam. Part 3. Term: layered security. Definition: a practice of using many different security controls at different levels to protect assets. Term: malware analysis. Definition: a complex skill set that includes reverse engineering, applies heuristic analysis techniques, and uses tools to identify malware packages. Term: mandatory access control, MAC. Definition: a means of restricting access to objects based on the sensitivity of the information contained in objects and the formal authorization of subjects to access information of such sensitivity. Term: memorandum of understanding, MOU. Definition: an agreement between two or more parties that is outlined in a formal document, which is not legally binding but signals the willingness of the parties to move forward with the agreement. Term: multi-factor authentication, MFA. Definition: the access control approach that requires subjects to assert their claim to identity with more than one kind of information or factor. Term: Nagios. Definition: a popular network and a system log monitoring tool that supports a broad range of plugins. Term: National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. Definition: a U.S. government agency that promotes a wide range of standards, including those that focus on cybersecurity. Term: NetFlow. Definition: a Cisco network protocol that collects IP traffic information, allowing network traffic monitoring. Term: NetStat. Definition: a command line tool for monitoring network connections, both incoming and outgoing, as well as viewing routing tables, interface statistics, and so on. Term: network access control. Definition: the collected protocols, policies, and hardware that govern access on a device's network interconnections. Term: network segmentation. Definition: an element of network design that is used to increase the efficiency of a network and relies on routers and switches that support virtual LAN, VLAN, tagging. Term: Nmap. Definition: a command line port scanner that provides a broad range of capabilities, such as multiple scan modes, intended to bypass firewalls and other network protection devices. Term: non-disclosure agreement, NDA. Definition: an agreement that stipulates that entities will not share confidential information, knowledge, or material with unauthorized third parties. Term: open source intelligence. Definition: a finding that is obtained through public sources. Term: operating system fingerprinting. Definition: the ability to identify an operating system based on network traffic that it sends. Term: operational control. Definition: a security measure implemented to monitor adherence to organizational policies and procedures. Term: order of volatility. Definition: the order in which users need to recover data after an incident before data is overwritten, deteriorated, and erased. Term: organized crime. Definition: an enterprise run by well-funded people who are motivated mainly by money or profits. Term: Passler Router Traffic Grapher, PRTG. Definition: a network monitoring tool that provides a variety of network monitoring capabilities, such as server monitoring, network monitoring, and bandwidth monitoring. Term: passive fingerprinting. Definition: a type of fingerprinting that relies on logs and other existing data, which may not provide information needed to fully identify targets. Term: passive monitoring. Definition: a technique that relies on capturing information about a network as traffic passes a location on a network link. Term: password cracking. Definition: a recovery process of secret passwords from data stored or transmitted by a computer. Term: Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS. Definition: a security standard that prescribes specific security controls for merchants who handle credit card transactions and service providers who assist merchants with these transactions. Term: phishing. Definition: a type of social engineering attack used to steal user data, including login credentials and credit card numbers. Term: planning poker. Definition: a tool for estimation and planning used in agile development processes. Term: platform as a service, PaaS. Definition: a cloud service model that includes operating systems and software development tools, such as runtime environments. Term: play course. Definition: a course developed by the Cybersecurity Incident Response Team, CSIRT, that describes the step-by-step recipe-style responses to cybersecurity incidents. Term: policy. Definition: a guiding principle used to set directions in an organization. Term: private cloud. Definition: a cloud deployment model where a client owns and operates all cloud equipment and services. Term: privilege escalation. Definition: the technique of obtaining access to additional resources or functionality that an entity is normally not allowed access to. Term: procedure. Definition: a series of steps that is to be followed as a consistent and repetitive approach to accomplish the end result. Term: public cloud. Definition: the most familiar cloud model, where public companies own cloud resources and sell them to clients. Term: purge. Definition: a media sanitization option that applies physical or logical techniques that render target data recovery infeasible using state-of-the-art laboratory techniques. Term: qualitative risk assessment. Definition: a risk analysis method that uses descriptions and words to measure the likelihood and impact of the risk. Term: quantitative risk assessment. Definition: a risk analysis method that is based completely on numeric values. Term: rapid application development, RAD. Definition: a methodology that focuses on developing applications rapidly through frequent iterations and continuous feedback. Term: Reaver. Definition: a tool used to find Wi-Fi protected access, WPA, and Wi-Fi protected access to, WPA2, passphrases, specifically on networks that support the Wi-Fi protected setup feature. Term: recovery. Definition: an incident response phase that focuses on restoring normal operations and correcting security control deficiencies that may have led to an attack. Term: regression testing. Definition: a type of software testing to ensure that changes that have been made do not create new issues. Term: remote authentication dial-in user service, RADIUS. Definition: the most common authentication, authorization, and accounting AAA system for network devices, wireless networks, and other services that can operate via TCP or UDP and operates in a client-server model. Term: removal. Definition: a containment technique that disconnects affected systems completely from other networks. Term: reverse engineering. Definition: a process of analyzing the structure of hardware or software to elaborate their functioning. Term: risk. Definition: a probability or threat of damage, injury, liability, loss, or any other negative occurrence that is caused by external or internal vulnerabilities. Term: risk acceptance. Definition: an act of identifying and then making an informed decision to accept the likelihood and impact of the specific risk. Term: risk analysis. Definition: a security process used for assessing risk damages that can affect an organization. Term: risk avoidance. Definition: the response of eliminating the source of the risk so that the risk is removed entirely. Term: risk management. Definition: a cyclical process of identifying, assessing, analyzing, and responding to the risk. Term: risk mitigation. Definition: the response of reducing the risk to fit within an organization's risk appetite. Term: risk transference. Definition: the response of moving the responsibility of the risk to another entity. Term: rootkit. Definition: a malicious code that is intended to take full or partial control of a system at the lowest level. Term: sandboxing. Definition: a cybersecurity practice where you run, observe, analyze, and code in a safe and isolated environment on a network called sandbox that isolates the host machine from the potentially malicious program or unsafe code. Term: sanitization. Definition: a thorough process of completely removing data from a storage medium so that data cannot be recovered. Term: Sarbanes-Oxley Act, SOX. Definition: a law enacted in the year 2002 that dictates requirements for the storage and retention of documents relating to an organization's financial and business operations. Term: Secure Sockets Layer/Transport Security Layer, SSL/TLS. Definition: a security protocol that uses certificates and public key cryptography for mutual authentication and data encryption over a TCP/IP connection. Term: Security Assertion Markup Language, SAML. Definition: an XML-based language used to send authentication and authorization data between identity providers and service providers. Term: Security Content Automation Protocol, SCAP. Definition: an effort by a security community to create a standardized approach for communicating security-related information. Term: security event. Definition: an observable occurrence in a system or a network that relates to a security function. Term: security information and event management, CM. Definition: a system that correlates log entries from multiple sources and provides actionable intelligence. Term: security orchestration, automation, and response, SOAR. Definition: a technology that enables organizations to collect inputs monitored by the security operations team. Term: self-encrypting drive, SED. Definition: a hard drive that encrypts the content held within a drive using encryption keys maintained independently from the CPU of a housing computer. Term: sender policy framework, SPF. Definition: an email validation system designed to prevent email spam that uses source address spoofing. Term: separation of duties. Definition: a principle that establishes that no individual should have too much power or responsibility. Term: service level agreement, SLA. Definition: a business agreement that outlines which services and support will be provided to a client. Term: session hijacking. Definition: an attack that exploits a computer during an active session to obtain unauthorized access to data, services, and networks. Term: simple network management protocol, SNMP. Definition: a protocol that allows network devices to send information about important events as SNMP traps. Simple Object Access Protocol, SOAP. An XML-based web services protocol that is used to exchange messages. Term: software as a service, SaaS. Definition: a cloud service model where the cloud service provider, CSP, provides software applications. Term: software development lifecycle, SDLC. Definition: a framework defining tasks performed at each step in the software development process. Term: software-defined networking. Definition: an approach to the networking architecture that simplifies management by centralizing control over a network. Term: standard. Definition: a certain field or data set that provides mandatory requirements describing how an organization will carry out its information security policies. Term: STRIDE. An acronym that is used when classifying threats stands for spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, DOS, and elevation of privilege. Term: syslog. Definition: a standard for logging that is designed to allow logs to be created on an endpoint server, a system, or a device, and then is stored locally or sent to a central server or a storage system. Term: technical control. Definition: an installation process of hardware or software that is implemented to monitor and prevent computer systems and services. Term: technical subject matter expert. Definition: a position hired by a company responsible for sharing the knowledge required during an incident response. Term: Terminal Access Controller, Access Control System Plus, TCACS Plus. Definition: a separate protocol that handles authentication, authorization, and accounting, AAA, services. Term: Threat. Definition: an outside force that may exploit a vulnerability. Term: Threat actor. Definition: a person or an entity that has the ability or intent to impact the security of other individuals or organizations. Term: Threat hunting. Definition: a practice of proactively searching for cyber threats that are lurking undetected in a network. Term: Threat intelligence. Definition: a process of investigating and collecting information about emerging threats and threat sources. Term: Trusted Platform Module, TPM. Definition: a dedicated microcontroller designed to secure hardware through integrated cryptographic keys, which include passwords, certificates, and encryption keys. Term: Unified Threat Management. Definition: an approach to information security where hardware or software installation provides multiple security functions. Term: User and Entity Behavior Analytics, UEBA. Definition: a tool that is used to analyze normal user behavior and detect anomalous behavior. Term: Virtualization. Definition: a process of creating a simulation of a computing environment where a virtualized system can simulate hardware, operating systems, and applications of a typical computer without being a separate physical computer. Term: Vulnerability. Definition: a weakness in a device, a system, an application, or a process that might allow an attack to occur. Term: Waterfall Software Development Lifecycle, SDLC. Definition: a sequential model in which each phase is followed by the next phase. Term: Web Application Firewall, WAF. Definition: a type of firewall that controls web-based application layer traffic in a network. Term: Whois. Definition: a widely used internet record listing that identifies who owns a domain and how to get in contact with it. Term: Windows Management Instrumentation, WMI. Definition: a type of Passler Router Traffic Grapher, PRTG, monitoring that provides an interface which allows access to a script and an application for automation of administrative tasks. Term: Write blocker. Definition: a tool that permits read-only access to data storage devices without compromising the integrity of the data. Term: Zero Trust. Definition: a security model based on maintaining strict access controls and not trusting anyone by default. Thank you for watching. Learn more with UCertify.